The call came just as I buttoned my cuffs. My wife's brother. His voice smug, as if entitlement were oxygen for him. "You're giving 10,000 for my wedding gift, right? Not asking, declaring. 10,000 as tribute." Silence. A breath. My pulse didn't spike. It froze instead, like the world paused, waiting for my reaction. "You make more than enough," he continued. "If you care about this family, you'll help us." Family. The word felt dirty coming from his mouth. I imagined my father, stern, disciplined, unsentimental. Only fools beg a man for what they refuse to earn. He would have laughed at this pathetic demand. No. One word. No explanation, no anger. Just reality. There was a gasp on the other end, offended shock, like I had stabbed a prince. "You will ruin our wedding day," he hissed. Weddings are emotional warfare disguised as celebration. He hung up. I fixed my tie, stepped into my car. The day continued, smooth, calm, precise. But something in me shifted, a seed of cold detachment planted beneath my ribs. At the venue, my wife's eyes were ice when she approached. Makeup flawless, smile sharpened like glass. "You embarrassed my brother," she whispered, venom-coated. "If you won't contribute, then leave. You don't deserve to be here." No scene, no hesitation. She dismissed me like a servant who forgot his place. I walked out, quiet steps, straight spine, and as the door closed behind me, so did any illusion of loyalty. They didn't see it yet, but the funeral of this family had just begun. Driving home, I replayed their words, not the insult, but the entitlement, the expectation that I existed to fund their fantasies. My wife chose them over me without a moment of conflict, without thought, like she'd been waiting for a reason to prove where her allegiance truly lay. Marriage is supposed to be partnership, but hers was conditional, transactional. Their love language wasn't affection, it was extraction. Over the years, requests had piled like silent debts. "Can you help with this? They're struggling. We're family." I paid. Quietly, efficiently. It kept peace. But peace built on obedience is just disguised slavery. At home, the photos stared back. Wedding smiles, framed vacations, curated happiness. Things we presented to the world like trophies. I felt nothing looking at them. That was my first clue. Love should break when betrayed. Mine didn't break. It simply dissolved. In the living room, her purse lay open. Habit more than suspicion, my eyes drifted. Credit card receipts, restaurant bills, jewelry purchases. A hotel reservation with a name I didn't recognize 3 weeks ago. My breath slowed, not quickened. So this was not just entitlement, it was exploitation and betrayal, layered like quiet rot beneath expensive perfume and practiced smiles. I didn't confront, not yet. Rage without timing is weakness, and weakness is what they expected from me. I simply sat in silence, letting truth simmer, not boil. Some men shout when hurt. I get very, very quiet. Days passed. I played the role of loving husband. Affectionate smiles, calm tone, steady presence. Routine is the best disguise for suspicion. I checked accounts, timelines, phone backups, recorded details in my mind like surgical notes. My wife laughed at texts that weren't from me, came home smelling like perfume she never wore for me. She spoke of family loyalty, but spent nights out with friends. Her brother bragged loudly online about the wedding, tagging my wife in every post. They believed they had moral superiority, like greed was righteousness. Let them gloat. I moved money, quietly, legally, closed access she didn't realize she had, secured what was mine without theatrics. She noticed none of it. People blinded by entitlement never notice when power shifts. At night, she slept beside me, unaware I was no longer there emotionally. Her breathing steady, mine controlled. I watched the ceiling and counted heartbeats, not hers, but my own steady pulse of resolve. A single rule guided me: never punish in anger. Punish in clarity. When everything was ready, proof, finances, logistics, I waited for one more moment. Not for vengeance, for confirmation. And it came in a whisper from her phone late at night, screen glowing. "He thinks he's smart. After your brother's wedding, we'll get what we deserve." We, not I, we. And the stranger's initials matched the hotel reservation. Cold flooded my veins. Relief, not pain. When truth finally arrives, it brings peace. I kissed her forehead gently. She smiled in her sleep, thinking she owned me. But ownership had shifted, permanently. Evidence is beautiful when it's undeniable. Receipts, messages, financial logs, the hotel invoice. A timeline of betrayal packaged in clean digital folders. When she returned home after the wedding night festivities, roses on the table, candles lit, as if I were welcoming her back with love, she smirked, triumphant. "You didn't show support. Embarrassing." Her voice sliced through the quiet. I slid the laptop toward her. No words, just truth. She clicked, scrolled, then froze. Her pupils shrank, breath caught, color drained. The mask cracked, and beneath it, panic. Where? How? I simply stood, calm, controlled, unmoved. She reached for me. "Wait, I can explain." Explanations are just lies given oxygen. I walked past her, leaving her to drown in the evidence of her own making. She followed, voice rising, pleading, sobbing. Emotion, emotion, emotion. But emotion without power is noise, and I was done listening. The next morning they returned, my wife, her brother, and his bride, dressed in post-wedding arrogance. They found their belongings at the curb. Designer bags atop boxes, jewelry mixed with household items. Everything outside, exiled like I had been. Trash among things they once called precious. My wife screamed my name. Her brother cursed. The new bride stared, stunned. I stood inside, behind glass, phone in hand, calm, silent, observing. Her brother pounded the door. "You can't do this." I opened it just enough to speak, flat, unemotional. "You demanded payment." Pause. Consider it given. Their shock tasted sweet, like justice distilled cold. I closed the door. 2 weeks later, Thanksgiving approached. My daughter-in-law called, voice dripping entitlement. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." I smiled. Not bitter, liberated. "Enjoy," I said, and hung up. An hour later I posted photos, not of sorrow, not of loss, but of my villa in Switzerland. Mountains, firelight, space designed for peace, not parasites. 71 missed calls. Greed always calls back when it realizes the feast is gone. I didn't answer any of them. Silence is the sharpest blade, and I have never felt so free.